And I sent you a kind of a semi-long list of all of these, and it's not even all of them. It's just like the first ones that I found that are 100% true. So we have Little Italy, Chinatown, Little Ireland, Little Manila.
I like the name Little Manila for a boxer, maybe.
Little Manila has a little bounce to it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome on back. It's You Got to Try This podcast with me, Large, and behind the ones and twos, you'll be the voice of God as always. It's my good man, Ian Becker, the P&L wrecker. We've been having a good run lately. A couple of great restaurants. Again, some great feedback from everybody. I really, really appreciate it. I say this every week, how much I appreciate people listening, watching, clicking, and doing whatever. Please keep it up. So 5-star reviews on any of the places where you either listen to or watch this thing. And inside the review, if you want to throw a question in for me, I will always answer it, Ian. And I do not get the questions beforehand, which is good. Ian, what's today's question?
This one.
Do you have a couple, right?
Yeah.
So when I ask you for this, should I be asking you beforehand if you have them all, or do you normally have them at the ready?
I stay locked and loaded.
You stay. By the way, so I am a mess when it comes to technology. And so that's one of the reasons why Ian is so integral to everything that I do here. I'm also kind of a mess when it comes to scheduling, and you are very schedule oriented and, reminiscent of my wife and stuff like that. She's got a great rack though. So I think that it's something that really helps out. So I appreciate what you do. In case I don't tell you in private, might as well tell you in this public forum. So if you do have a question, you can hit me right now.
Yes. Thank you. This one is from Cameron Jalufka. Apologies if I butchered that. Great pod. I could listen to Large talk passionately about printer paper and be entertained.
Oh.
Where am I eating on a game day in South Bend, Indiana? I'm going for the Texas A&M game in September and would love some recommendations for food or drinks.
Man, I should have asked beforehand. So I graduated Notre Dame in 1993. I was there from 89 to 93. And so it's a different place from when I went there. I can tell you that since my son started at Alabama, I haven't gone back to Notre Dame because Alabama's warmer and the people there are more beautiful. But Notre Dame is very, very special to me. And hold on. Maybe I should look it up, see places. No, it's got to still be open. So one of the places, if you're going to, he's from Texas A&M. He's going to a Texas A&M game. Yeah. So here's a place that I think is going to be extremely safe. There are a bunch of places around Notre Dame that it runs the gamut, right? You can go very, very high scale and you can eat in the old Studebaker Museum. I think that place is still open. Oh, what the fuck was that called? But I think for what you need something that's a little bit rowdy, a little bit raucous. And I'd say go to Rocco's. Rocco's is... I never tell people to eat pizza outside of pizza cities because they'll be like, I'm from New York. Why would you send me for pizza in South Bend? You're not going to Rocco's necessarily for the best pizza in the world. It's a little red and white checkered tablecloth type Italian joint and pitchers of beer. They have a bunch of Notre Dame memorabilia on the wall, but one of the guys that used to be all over Rocco's with the signatures and the pictures was Mark Bavaro. And Mark Bavaro was at Notre Dame. So Mark Bavaro's favorite spot at Notre Dame was Rocco's. I don't think Mark has the best palate, but I think for a big, dumb Italian guy hanging out in South Bend, having pretty good pizza in a very good family-owned setting, and you can get kind of rowdy. I stole a sword from Rocco's when I was there, and I still have the sword somewhere in my garage. My wife wants to throw it away just because it's a piece of shit sword. It's been broken, the whole deal. I slid it down one leg of my pants, so I had to walk out with one leg stiff. Honestly, it's a 4-foot broadsword, and I just have nothing but fond memories from times where I was a kid. When I was a kid, going to Rocco's and just having a bunch of beer and pizza as college kids. There's always that place. And Rocco sums that up for me. So, I can dig deeper into it to see what's around right now. Again, just because I haven't been back in a while. And South Bend has built up. When I was there, it was a dump. I was there for a month and a half before I was at the mall, and some kids kicked the back of my head and spent the night in a hospital, concussion, the whole deal. Coming from Brooklyn and going to South Bend to get my ass kicked was something else. But South Bend has been built up, and there's a lot more options in and around the university. But Rocco's, goddamn, I hope it's still there. And if it is, go there because it's a fucking institution. I think that's a fair answer to give the guy, right?
Yeah.
I think so, right? Some off the cuff. I had gotten a DM. Jesus, I got another DM on pizza though. So I got a DM from a guy named Patrick Baker. I know a bunch of Patty Bakers, to be honest with you, but I don't believe this is one of them. Large, just started listening. You got to try this. Have an idea that has a little touch of history. Boom. I live in D.C. now, but my hometown is Steubenville, Ohio. Steubenville, Ohio. He gives me the description that it's a small Rust Belt steel town on the Ohio River about an hour west of Pittsburgh. The town has deep and steep Italian roots. I know of Steubenville, Ohio. It used to be called Little Chicago during Prohibition. It's the hometown of Dean Martin, and every year, I'm back to Patty right now. It's the hometown of Dean Martin, and every year they have the Dean Martin Festival. I love Dean Martin. I'm about to sing Dean Martin. You're nobody till some. Anyway, it's the home of a unique style of pizza that's tremendous. It's a Sicilian, very light, crispy on the bottom, but they don't put the cheese on until after it's cooked, so the cheese is put on cold. The idea is it melts by the time you drive your tray of pizza home. I used to bring trays of this shit to my college boys and hookups during breaks, and they raved about it. So the key shops are Gianna Moore's and DeCarlo's. Just thought it'd interest you. Also the hometown of Tracy Lords. Heyo, if you are my age and you don't know who Tracy Lords is, tell your wife to step out of the room. And now that she's gone, Tracy Lords was the shit, wasn't she? I had Lisa Ann on a couple of weeks ago. Oh, by the way, I got Lisa Ann's birthday this, will probably be last Friday by the time this hits. So we're going to go, my wife and I, to Lisa Ann's birthday. But Tracy Lords was a legend in the adult film industry. It was sort of similar to my good friend Lisa Ann. Pat, the reason I'm mentioning this is because I'm very familiar with this pizza. And the reason I'm very familiar with this pizza, and by the way, I love this fucking DM, is because we do so much Rough and Rowdy in West Virginia. And I am the guy that does all the weigh-ins for Rough and Rowdy. Frank sometimes does them with me. Sometimes he's unable to do them with me, but I'm there every Rough and Rowdy. I do the weigh-ins. And then for the actual event, I do the tunnel work. Talk to the fighters coming in and out. Sometimes I referee a couple of matches. I'm a licensed referee in the state of West Virginia. I'm a licensed amateur boxing referee in the state of West Virginia. I specialize in dwarf boxing, but that's something that's on my resume that wouldn't have been if I stayed on Wall Street. So my point is, every time we have a Rough and Rowdy, I show up in West Virginia on Thursday. I do the weigh-ins on Thursday night. I go out and I get drunk then after the weigh-ins. Friday, I have nothing to do until the fights that night. Dave, Dan, all those other, Robbie, who do the ringside stuff, Rone, Caleb, when he was here, they all come in on private jets. Like they come in on the private jet. They try to get around the same place. And they go in and out in the private jet. So they get in maybe 2 hours before the thing starts at 7:00 on Friday. All this to say is that I basically have a morning and full afternoon to myself 4 times a year in West Virginia. And I fell in love with DeCarlo's Pizza. The only thing that I will kind of correct Pat on is that the DeCarlo's that I've been going to, again, has more of a Detroit style feel. It's that Sicilian that's baked in a pan, in a tray. It does have hot cheese on it. They do bake it with cheese. But then after it comes out, even with the melted cheese on it, they then throw a handful of just cold shredded mozzarella on it. So that's their thing. And if you want, they'll give you a baggie of banana peppers on the side, like you're doing a drug deal. I did a review of this pizza with Frank the Tank. It's somewhere on my social. I'll dig it up and I'll put it up again, perhaps if we clip this part. And I love that pizza. So whatever the fuck you call it, I eat it in the Triadelphia area. There's a movie theater there. Maybe it's a Cinemark or something. I go to the Bass Pro Shop that's across the street there. Then I go to DeCarlo's. I get 3 of their squares with the cold mozzarella cheese and a baggie of banana peppers. I take it into the movie theater. We're going to talk about me being kind of shady in movie theaters in just a little bit. And the guys are usually like, yeah, go in, because it's the middle of the afternoon. Everyone's at work or school. So I normally am, alone in it. And I really, really enjoy that pizza. And to this gentleman's point, having like that McDLT, the hot side stays hot, the cool side stays cool when you're eating a very good square of pizza is a singular experience. And I don't get a lot of different experiences when I'm eating pizza because I've just about had them all. Not like Dave. patron saint of pizza, Dave Portnoy, but I've had a ton of different pizzas all the way around. I haven't tried this one until very recently. I wrote a blog about it saying that it's my favorite pizza in the world. I wrote a blog about it maybe 2 or 3 years ago saying that type of pizza is my favorite pizza just because it was new and exciting to me. So I'm very, very familiar with it. Even though I've never been to Steubenville, Ohio, which is on the list, Pat, I'm in bed with you on this one. Me, you, and Dean Martin, God rest his soul, would have destroyed DeCarlo's Pizza given the chance. I think that's kind of a cool DM for me to get. So we're on a roll here. I got to throw a shout out to the guys from the Cigar Guys. Those dudes from Never Esh. Tom came in with his pregnant wife, and I thought that was a very good episode. I had a lot of fun with that. So I'm very, very happy that they came in. I will tell you, we did it on a Friday afternoon. We hotboxed this room. We had the windows open. Ian brought in an air purifier. We had the fan going. We had the towels at the bottom of the door. We tried to be as respectful as possible. Some of it did seep out from what I understand, but Fridays in the New York office can sometimes be a little thin. And plus we had guys who were about to travel to see this game, wind up at the Bet Gala, all that kind of stuff. So the timing was perfect. I don't know how many times I'd be able to get away with doing that, but I really appreciate the dudes from Never Esh, particularly Tom. And the other thing I should have mentioned straight from the beginning of the show is that Rone's coming on. Rone's coming on in just a little bit. If you don't know Rone, shame on you, but RoneDotCom and everything else he does seems to turn to gold. He just recently, Rone's wife is an absolute rocket ship. I can say that because we're friendly. Beautiful girl. And Rone is funny looking. If you see him, it's like almost like something's wrong with him. They just had 2 beautiful kids. They just had twins, and twins aren't supposed to be good looking. There's not a lot of room in there. So one of them has a fucked up head every now and again and stuff. This woman had just popped out 2 beautiful kids, and I couldn't be happier for them. And even in the midst of having his whole life turned upside down by these 2 little blessings, Rone had pitched this idea to me of something he wants to do that's very much involved with food. So we're about to embark on a project in a couple of weeks where it's going to be myself and Rone at the helm. We'll get some other people involved, and it's going to involve a good part of the city. Very excited to do it and to start it. And as a result, we'll have Rone in just a bit. So stay with us for that. History. I think people are digging the history part of it. Every time we tend to do it. So I'll do a quick one. I won't do anything too long this time. And it'll have to deal with oils. Everybody cooks with oils, olive oil and canola oil and vegetable oil. Avocado oil is a hot one. It all depends on how you like your smoke points, right? Peanut oil is the one that you can get the highest smoke point, all that kind of stuff. So if you take a company, have you ever used Palmolive soap? You've heard of Palmolive.
I've not used it though.
Yeah. But so Palmolive soap, I think most people would recognize it from something that you clean your dishes with. Like that's Palmolive. So you know that. Palmolive got its name from the 2 oils that they used to make their original bar of soap. They use palm oil and olive oil. Put that together, and that's what makes it called Palmolive. That's a tiny little history tidbit. And the reason I'm mentioning it is, have you ever heard of canola oil? Canola oil is something that's universally recognized, right? And if you're wondering where canola oil comes from, it doesn't come from a canola that grows on a tree, but it's made from something called rapeseed. So RAPESEED. So if you look up canola oil, Ian, while you have some time here, can you Google canola oil and see what comes up? Because again, I cook with vegetable oils. I cook with everything. I fry, shallow fry, and do all that stuff. So if you Google canola oil, what's going to come up is the definition of rapeseed oil. I don't believe that word that starts plus seed is something that's overly marketable. So as a result, there is a blend of rapeseed oil that was refined first and foremost in Canada, right? So canola is a portmanteau of the words Canada and oil. So that's where you get canola oil from. There is no canola oil. There is no canola in nature. it's a combination of Canada and oil. And again, that hard R in rapeseed oil, why is it even there? That's got to be a wacky fucking thing. And it's not. It's just from the Latin. So the bad R that we know is from the Latin rapere, R-A-P-E-R-E, which means to grab and carry off. So you can obviously see the apples to apples connection between to carry off and one of the most terrible things that you can do to another human being. But there is also a Latin word that's R-A-P-A, rapa, which just means turnip. And from that is where the rapeseed comes from. And from that type of seed is where canola oil is made. And it's called canola oil because it's a combination of Canada and oil. So canola, Canada, oil. And that's it for the history lesson today on You Got to Try This. What do you think? That one's not too bad.
That's shocking.
It is a little bit, right?
Rapeseed, I thought we get rid of those usually.
Yeah, like I think it's one of those things where be better. Like when you are, naming stuff, be better. There is a certain nut that you find in most mixed nuts. I won't even tell you what the nickname is, but it's very, very offensive. So I was like, is this one of those offensive type things? And it's not. It's just obviously comes from the Latin. What else you want to talk about, Ian?
Last week we played a clip from around the Barstool universe. It was on the main page, and it was food related. I think we are the arbiters of food at this company, or at least we should, or at least we should be. So I thought we'd play another clip. This one is from the In the Slot Girls. If you remember correctly, this is Ray, Mooby, and Smelly.
Okay.
Last week we did a clip from Mocked Up with just Ray, but I'll play the clip now.
So last week we did. Before you play the clip, last week we did something where I think they ranked condiments, right? Am I correct with that?
Yes.
Yes. And a movie, Ray had said ranch dressing, pump it into my ass or something like that. Absolutely loved it. And I thought that she was profound with the whole idea of sour cream, maybe making it, because I'm a big sour cream guy, and she went honey mustard. I went in a different way. So it wasn't overly different. And I like the fact that they're doing it. A lot of people are complaining about too many people doing food stuff here at Barstool. It's a low barrier of entry. You just have to have a mouth and a camera. So, the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. I'm just going to try and do my thing and see that it works out. But as a result, can you play me this latest clip, and then I will respond to it with my own answer. I think it's a good little segment, Ian.
What was like your after school snack? Because I would house Chips Ahoy every day after school with
that
milk.
Sounds fire.
Goldfish. Yep, that too. I would turn on my box TV and it started to go out, and I would have to hit it like with my hand, and I would house the entire thing of Chips Ahoy.
Sounds electric.
Or like
It's
ice
so
cream. I used to have ice cream a lot in
After
like
school?
a big bowl. Yeah,
Cool.
weirdly.
I think I was an Oreo family.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. We were a lot of too, like salami rolled up with cheese,
Ooh.
fruit, milk.
There you go.
I had
Yeah.
so much milk growing up.
Oreos.
Like, we would
Really?
go through like 2 gallons of milk a week
Yes.
in my family.
Oh my God. I was obsessed. I would come home and have a pint like every day.
Wow.
I would go on a run, come back, chug milk.
What the hell?
I wouldn't
Loved
do
it.
that, but I just found
Would you shit yourself?
Mark.
All right, so cool. I mean, it seemed kind of right down the middle. What most people would do it. The salami and cheese roll-ups, obviously I'm still doing them today. Might have even had one this morning if you put a gun to my head. But I'll answer that now. So after school snack, is that what you want?
Yeah, and I think the reason I wanted to hear your answer on this clip is because, Chips Ahoy you could buy at a store, Oreos you could buy at a store. We know you like to get a little exotic with your own creations. So I was hoping that you had some sort of weird cracker sandwich, and not cracker in that way sandwich, but I don't know. What was your go-to?
I will
after
tell
school?
you that I have a much different upbringing from these girls. A lot of them were able to go right home after school, and being somebody who went to school in the city and whatnot, I didn't have that luxury. So we would go to a bodega, and most of the bodegas in and around where I was from didn't have the best snacks. I shouldn't say that. Didn't have the top of the food chain name brands. So where you would be able to go and get a bag of Doritos, I would be able to get a bag of Bravos. Like Bravo, you ever see like they were the second tier? I think onion rings were the top tier. Funyuns were for me. But so when I was growing up, a bag of Bravos and a quarter water, like those little, those barrels of just sugar water that were blue, red, and all that kind of stuff, and a frozen Charleston chew. If you were to leave school, hit a bodega, get a quarter water, a bag of Bravos, and a frozen Charleston chew, you were a goddamn legend. That was the top, man, I think about it now. That was the top of cuisine for me. It was, and it brings back like a very fond memory because again, I don't think I would enjoy it that much now. A frozen Charleston chew is, if you smack it on a table, it actually turns into like shards of marshmallow glass, if that makes sense. Like I could shiv a motherfucker in prison with a frozen Charleston chew. So, if I went home, it was kind of the same things. I would be able to pop an Elio's in the oven. Elio's pizzas, they did not stay for long in my house. So it was like Elio's kind of things that were right down the middle. And because I was Irish, we always had like canned corned beef in the house. So I'd make like canned corned beef sandwiches with deli mustard on white bread. It was something that we just kind of loved to do. So that, stuff that I butter on crackers, we would slice up cucumbers, just have it swimming in bowls of vinegar because we would eat that until the enamel on our teeth started to come off. That was like a salad for us. But I got to say, my favorite after school snack right through high school, because, when I went into high school, then we were even closer to bodegas. So we didn't have to go to Mama Zam's on Garrettson Avenue in Brooklyn. I'd be able to go to a corner bodega on 2nd Avenue and 3rd Street. And then here's a little story. I was coming home from high school. I had bought a Yoo-Hoo and a Chocodile. A Chocodile was do they still have Chocodiles? I don't think so. Maybe they do.
Is it similar to a Choco Taco?
No, Chocodile is it's adorable that you think that. It's a Twinkie that was dipped in chocolate, and it was marketed with a chocolate crocodile. Now probably be accused of blackface, to be honest with you. And the Twinkie wrappers were clear, so you're always able to see the Twinkie. The Chocodile wrappers weren't clear. And so I had opened one up. I had my Yoo-Hoo. I was somewhere in the Bowery in Lower Manhattan, took a bite out of the Chocodile. I pulled it out of the wrapper afterwards, and there was already a bite on the other side. Oof, that was the last Chocodile I ever had in the city. You know what I mean? So don't be me. Make sure you check your Charleston chews. Make sure you check your Chocodiles, because you could run into some real fucking problems with that. I was so disappointed. Do you mind if I tell this story? I throw my book bag. I have a knapsack. I have it there. I'm like, geez, I throw my book bag. It lands in bum vomit. And I then have to go in. There was no bottled water back then, like Poland Spring and all that stuff. In New York, you just drank tap. New York City tap water is, it's the best tap water in the world. So when I go to my family in Brooklyn, I do bottled water in Jersey because the Jersey water is absolute trash. But when I go visit my parents in Brooklyn, first thing I do, ice cold glass from the tap. So there was none of that. So I had to buy a 2-liter bottle of seltzer to clean bum vomit off of my knapsack after I just been into a Chocodile, which already had a bite on the other side. They don't put that on the brochure, but welcome to New York, baby. So that's my answer to that one, Ian.
I think that experience there paid for the week that you're having this week.
Oh, I'm on a heater, aren't I? So I had one of the worst boxing weeks of my life because we did this Times Square event and it was first class all the way. Shout out to Ring Magazine. Man, they took care of us. It was myself, Cody, and Travi. And we were basically ringside at this event in Times Square where they had 3 big names not fighting each other, all competing, and the fights all sucked. They sucked. And it was just a disappointment. All the pomp and circumstance of it being in Times Square was awesome. The ring card girls were actually the celebrity impersonators that walk around Times Square all day and try to shake you down for $20 for a picture. So round 2, Ed Sheeran comes out with the 2. Looks just like Ed Sheeran. I took a picture of it, sent to my daughter. She thought Ed Sheeran was there. Round 3, Michael Jackson. That's where I started to realize it because Michael Jackson's dead. I don't know if I'm breaking news here. Round 4, Tupac. Round 5, Snoop Dogg starts crip walking out. And so that's what they were doing. There was a guy dressed as Grover in the audience. There was a dude who plays drums in Times Square who was situated in the back. So he was playing along to a lot of like Rocky themed shit, like, Eye of the Tiger and There's No Easy Way Out and whatnot. So everything was there. The vibe was off, like, because everybody there was kind of celebrity-ish. So they weren't like violent fans. So the fighters were off. And everyone was just running. There wasn't a lot of fighting. That was Friday. Fast forward to Saturday, I did a quick segment on McAfee. Pat had seen me in Times Square on Friday, so he'd asked if I can just come in and talk about the Canelo fight, which was happening on Saturday in Riyadh, over in Saudi Arabia. He was fighting a guy named William School. I was calling him Skull for the most part, because nobody ever heard of William School. So Pat had asked me to come on, talk about it, because he knows I have a relationship with Alvarez, which I love doing. I went, watched the fight, didn't go to Saudi, obviously, and it was another stinker. If it wasn't for this young fighter, Inoue, not even that young of a fighter, Inoue, who would wound up fighting on Sunday then to save the weekend with a very good performance, I was thinking about giving up on the sport. So I'm on a heater with that. Like, I was in Times Square doing all this kind of stuff, then I'm on McAfee, then I'm doing all this, and then RoneDotCom gives me the shout out that, I think they brought in KB to judge all the bloggers in Barstool. KB is a brilliant blogger. He's somebody that I respect. Whenever he puts a pen to paper, I read his stuff in his voice, which doesn't happen all the time. I don't read everyone's blogs in their specific voice. KB, I sort of get into his head when he's doing it, and I enjoy his stuff immensely. Same thing with Nick. Same thing with Coley Mick. Remember Coley Mick? Every time he would write a blog, I would read it as Coley Mick. I think it's one of those things where, it's extraordinary. So he was on RoneDotCom ranking the top 10 bloggers at Barstool. I came in at number 2, behind Francis, I believe. Mm-hmm. So that's nice too. It's just kind of nice, whatever, getting all these little good things happen to good people every now and again, Ian. You know what I'm saying?
I do hear what you're saying, but not to knock you down right as you're on a high, but we got to talk about these Cubans, and I'm not talking about the people.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, I love to eat, and I love history, and I love all the pomp and circumstance and the pride that surrounds dishes for people. I'm still learning, right? Like I've never been employed like Anthony Bourdain or Andrew Zimmern, or however we pronounce it, or Guy Fieri, where I can just go around and just eat all the time. So when I did the Cuban sandwich in Margone a couple of months ago, my good friend Rich Dunphy, shout out RD, and we went to Margone in Times Square, had a beautiful Cuban sandwich, and the cheat code for me is you get the oxtail gravy on the side. And that might have been one of our best TikToks.
The biggest video we've ever done.
Yeah, 1 million here, then not 1 million across all platforms, 1 million on TikTok, and then millions on fucking Instagram and X and beyond. And it's still kind of growing. People really liked it. I think people are going to Times Square because so many people reached out and they're like, yeah, it's just a steam table. They were like, we went there and there was no oxtail that day, but they were doing some other dish as their special, which also has a gravy. So I'm dipping it in this. I love that.
This place was running out of oxtail gravy.
Yeah. I love the fact that people are doing this, so, but I also got a lot of people saying you can't have a good Cuban if you're not down in Florida, or if you're not down in Miami, or if you're not down in Tampa. So I said, okay, I took my family to South Beach, and I basically took my family to South Beach so the kids could go swimming and I could have a proper Cuban sandwich. And I thought I was doing the right thing there. I went to a place called Puerto Sagua. I called it Porto Sagua. People came after me for that too. That's fine. But this place did a legit Cuban. It's a beautiful sandwich. I don't care if you have a better Cuban than this. It's a beautiful sandwich. And I said it was the best Cuban I've ever had. One person had commented, what about Margone? I went back with a video saying, great fucking question. Margone, it's the oxtail gravy. For a pure Cuban, this is it. Now I have people telling me that I didn't have a real Cuban again. They're saying you can't have a real Cuban unless you go to Tampa. And I'm not doing that. Like the thing is, I can't, Mons Venus it was good for me to kind of jump. If you guys don't know, Mons Venus is this gigantic strip club in Tampa that most people know about. And if you don't know about it, it's the same thing with Tracy Lords. Just wait till the wife leaves and you know what Mons Venus is. So I'm not calling bullshit. And I realize that perhaps the Cuban sandwich started in Tampa, but I guarantee you that what I had at Puerto Sagua is as good as anything. If you get their Cuban, their medianoche, their pan con bistec, any of that stuff, I guarantee you, just watch the video. This place is crawling with Cuban heritage and whatnot. So I'm not apologizing. I don't think I'm going to get to fucking Tampa, but if I'm anywhere near Tampa, I swear to Christ that I'm going to go out of my way and possibly spend a lot of money to go out of my way to try whatever the best Cuban is in Tampa. And if it's not better in Puerto Sagua, I got a real fucking problem. I do. I got a real problem because we're just trying here. And I believe that we're succeeding. And I'm also having a fantastic time in the meantime. So Puerto Sagua is out. What else do we have out around there? Probably have the chopped cheese out, which was awesome that I had done. Maybe we'll talk about that next time because it was a small place that I think could use some of the shine. So for every Fort Charles that we go to, which also ripped, thank you Gaz again for inviting me. And thank you Gaz for wearing a hat because holy shit, those things ripped. We're also going to try and get to some of these small mom and pop places. I had found one in Hawthorne, New Jersey. I had just got back from it and my hands still smell like a chopped cheese. So we'll be talking about that next time. What else do you want to do? What else do you want to talk about?
Anything new in the world of food?
Yeah. So that's good too. So I constantly, whenever I see it, so the snack boys, Clem and Eddie, they always go and they do their chips and the candy and all that stuff. But whenever I see something, this had come across my desk 2 days ago. Nathan's is going to be putting out. So Nathan's iconic Brooklyn establishment, the original one in Coney Island is where I grew up. So Nathan's now on top of pumping out some of the best hot dogs around, not the best. I think the best are the windmill hot dogs. We spoke about it when Frank was on the show, but Nathan's always had a solid hot dog. They're putting out something now called a hot and spicy beef Frank. So Nathan's is going to tweak with it. They're going to, bend the knee and do a hot link for all intents and purposes. As much as this kind of pisses me off because I like Nathan's just to do what Nathan's does, I'm also very, very curious about it. So I'm the reason that they're doing this. I am going to go out and buy this. When I talk about Nathan's and you say, oh, I had it in an airport or I had it here, carve out some time if you're ever in New York City to get to the original one in Coney Island because it's an institution. You've never been there, I don't think, E.
No.
That's something that we should do. It's different. My Uncle Terry used to take me to Nathan's as a little kid, and he used to get a chow mein sandwich, which was just fucking weird. He used to get the frog's legs, and I used to eat frog's legs with him at Nathan's like I had a tip on a famine. I don't believe they serve them anymore, even in Coney Island. I used to get a soft shell crab sandwich at Nathan's, and then we used to get dogs and the French fries. The French fries at Nathan's are big-ass crinkle-cut ones, and they give it to you with a little red plastic pitchfork. Some people like that big, French fry. Some people prefer like a very thin shoestring fry. I'm a sucker for anything Nathan's. So I'll go back there tomorrow, and if they still serve it, I would do a chow mein sandwich, a soft-shell crab sandwich, a couple of dogs, and an order of their fries. I would go back right now. And as I'm thinking about it, being there with my Uncle Terry is no longer with us. My Uncle Terry's a Vietnam vet. He did a bunch of tours, did one tour in the Army, I think 2 tours in the Marines. He was a sniper. Didn't do too well at the end of his life. He was in a VA hospital. He had some problems. And I used to bring him like cheeseburgers. And he used to say to me, you could put this cheeseburger at the end of the hallway and I'd be able to shoot the cheese off it. He's one of those guys who came back but never came back. So it was sad. But my Uncle Terry had introduced me to a term that I'll never forget. I'm going to share with you now. You know what a Coney Island whitefish is?
No.
You don't? I don't think anyone where we're broadcasting to knows either. I'd mentioned it once before, maybe on Twisted or maybe at Barstool Breakfast. Coney Island is a big spot for ladies of the night, prostitutes, if you will. And again, if your wife leaves the room, I could talk about it. But you'd show up in your car, and then these young ladies would take care of you, and then they would leave, and you would never call. You know what prostitutes do. So there are so many prostitutes in Coney Island, at least when I was growing up, that anytime you were done with your condom, a full condom, you would throw it out the window. And so whenever it would rain in Coney Island, the gutters would have filled condoms just kind of swimming down them towards the drain. So whenever you saw a used condom anywhere, whether it be in the ocean or typically, running along a curbside gutter, that's a Coney Island whitefish. That's something you could put into your head and you'll remember it for the rest of the time, right?
Coney Island whitefish.
Like Coney Island whitefish. You like that one, no? That's Coney Island whitefish. Last thing I'm going to mention, because I do see like when these new foods get announced, Pop-Tarts is doing ice cream sandwiches. So they're going to do strawberry, some sort of chocolate fudge one, and then a brown sugar cinnamon churro type one. 2 Pop-Tarts surrounding a block of ice cream. I'm a sucker for ice cream sandwiches. I'm not a Pop-Tart guy. I have them in the house every now and again because my kids are crazy about them. I think I'm going to fuck with this. I don't know. A lot of these collaborations I'm skeptical of. This one, Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches, I'm jumping in with both feet. So that's it. So spicy hot dogs from Nathan's, Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches, Coney Island whitefish, DeCarlo's Pizza in Steubenville, Ohio, or in Wheeling, West Virginia. What else do we do? Oh, Rocco's Pizza in South Bend, Indiana. That's all the shit that we happen to talk about today on You Gotta Try This. And that's even before I have my very special guest, Rone, come on to talk to you about a project that we're currently working on. So without further ado, here is our good friend, Rone. All right, so as promised, one of my favorite people at Barstool from day one has been Rone. Rone just made the huge mistake of having a shitload of kids all at one time. So his time is limited. We're only going to talk for a couple of minutes, but otherwise I'd like to do a show, a series. I'd like to get married with Rone at some point. One of the things that's most exciting about Barstool is when you get to collaborate with talented people. And so Rone had said to me about a month ago, before he had the twins, that he wanted to do something where we find the best little in New York, whether it's Little Italy, Little Odessa, Little whatever, Chinatown, Koreatown, any of those ones that are just combinations or fucking conventions of certain cultures in one place. Try to find one restaurant that embodies that come together of the culture, go there, and then just judge it with certain criteria against other restaurants from other cultures. I think that's probably the best way you can sum that up, right?
Yeah, I think that the only thing I'd say different is I don't even want to just keep it to, one restaurant will be the main thing, but I wouldn't mind like bopping just to see what it feels like around that area. Does it feel like that? But I think living in New York is such a unique set of circumstances that we have all these cultures not only here mixing together, melting pot, that's fun or whatever, but the fact that they have areas chalked out where it's like, this is our little Argentina, this is our little Brazil, and just seeing exactly how they define that. I mean, it's almost like Barstool New York is a thing, but it's the entirety of New York feels a little untapped.
Yeah, and to your point, I guess being a little bit myopic with the restaurant idea, if we don't go across the street at a place in Little Italy and see guys throwing bocce, I call bullshit on the whole fucking area. So you're right in that respect. If I find the greatest Thai place in the middle of, just 50 Starbucks without anything that represents the Thai culture, then we can call bullshit on that. We can give an honest review of the restaurant, the food, obviously.
Totally.
But I think I need some good accents,
100%.
right? I don't care who serves me food at any time, but for the purposes of what we're trying to do, I want an Argentinian woman serving me Argentinian food, right? Like this.
We don't want to go to Little Haiti in Canarsie and not run into a witch doctor. If there's not a shrunken
Well
head
said.
somewhere or like a monkey paw that we can use for some type of luck or cursing someone else, then I feel like it'll be an inauthentic experience. But there's so many of these. And I sent you a kind of a semi-long list of all of these, and it's not even all of them. It's just like the first ones that I found that are 100% true. So we have Little Italy, Chinatown, Little Ireland, Little Manila.
I like the name Little Manila for a boxer, maybe.
Little Manila has a little bounce to it.
Yeah, go.
Then we have K-Town, Little Odessa,
Brooklyn.
That's the Russia side of it. Even though, as I looked into it, it seems like there's like Ukraine and Russia influences in Little Odessa. But
So I will tell you, growing up in that part of Brooklyn, I grew up on the non-sexy side of Brooklyn, Coney Island area. Which is, to me, sexier. To everybody, it should be. Like, there are a lot of people who come up to me and be like, "Oh, you grew up in Brooklyn? I'm from Brooklyn too." Because they just bought a place 6 months ago. I was like, did you chip in for batteries and always carry a brush in your pocket? Then you're not from Brooklyn. So I think that there's a different feel over on the Coney. So Coney Island, Sheepshead Bay, Marine Park. I'm from a little Irish neighborhood called Garrettson Beach, wedged in between Sheepshead Bay and Marine Park. So the Coney Island part, Little Odessa is heavy, heavy Russian. But then we can go into the Ukrainian village just on the Lower East Side where Veselka is, the Ukrainian men's club. Maybe we get beat up with some olive branches, that type of stuff.
I heard that's good for inflammation. Or what does that even do?
It's very good for inflammation, but also some people just get off getting hit by other men with olive branches. It's a tab on Pornhub. So I think it's one of those things we can check boxes. I used to go to the Ukrainian men's club when I was a freshman in high school. I went to high school on 2nd Avenue and 2nd Street. And it was
did you go to LaSalle?
LaSalle, yes.
That's where my dad went.
Oh, really? LaSalle, Maker of Men, Signum Fidei, St. John the Baptist de LaSalle, pray for us.
What the fuck? They knocked it down, right?
They knocked it down. They moved the location. So they have like an offsite location around the corner from McSorley's. But that iconic gym, I don't know if you've ever been in that gym.
I haven't.
Oh, my God. You don't have a ton of time. So LaSalle is so small. LaSalle had 400 kids. There was 87 kids in my graduating class.
Yeah.
When I was valedictorian. And so when you go we were always a powerhouse in basketball.
Right. Except for they played against a guy, Lou Alcindor, when my dad was there.
So Power Memorial actually closed down for a semester or something because of some problem. Lou Alcindor went to LaSalle for like a semester. Never played for us though. But God Shamgod.
Oh, yeah?
Went there. Do you ever hear a guy, Ronnie Artest? Not a fucking big deal. You know who else played for LaSalle? Big guy that you're talking to right here.
No way.
I made the team that weekend on a skateboard. I broke one leg over the other. I spent 9 months in bed. Didn't go to my freshman year of high school. Spent the whole thing getting tutored in bed. So I never played a fucking a down. I never played a second of basketball. But the gym is this intimate fucking gym.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was so small. And we had a track and field team. We didn't have a baseball team or a football team because we didn't have any fields. So our track and field team used to get out on the corner, 2nd and 2nd, run up to 34th Street and back. So that was it. Like LaSalle, you'll know this.
Yeah.
The track team in LaSalle was one of these just staples of the Lower East Side going by. If you were in the cafeteria early in the morning, because I used to get there pretty early, the pole vaulting team would run through the cafeteria, through the hallway, into the gym, boom, and then up into it. So they put up tables so you couldn't walk by, otherwise you get a pole vault in the air.
Oh my God.
Yeah, LaSalle shaped me.
The Christian Brothers, right?
Irish Christian Brothers, Saturday detention. Brother Paul used to turn the ring around so the stone part would be there. He was Franciscan, so he used to... Yeah, the brown ropes.
Yeah.
So he was like big hairy knuckles that used to sweat on you. Used to turn his ring around to hit you. That way you got hit with the stone. But Brother Timothy, you would have Saturday detentions where you would wash windows. Try getting kids to do that now. And I'm talking Lower East Side.
Yeah.
So your dad and I were the only white kids who ever went there. Now, that's not true at all, but it was very much a big minority. You had such an influx of kids from Chinatown. There's a bunch of black kids, obviously. Just
my dad
from-
was coming down from like 104th and Columbus, so like Frederick Douglass Projects he was living in. So it was like he was riding down with. I mean, I think that's like a lot of Puerto Rican now or something like that, or I don't know. It's probably changed a lot. But he said the same things about the nice corporal punishment that they were dealing out. He said the baseball coach would bring kids into like a closet and like take erasers, like wooden-sided erasers, and chuck them at people.
That's what I grew up as. Like, even the fact that I was like, again, on the ass end of Brooklyn, it took me an hour and 15, B31 to the D train to the 6, and then I'd walk, or the B31 to the B3 to the to the F train to 2nd Avenue, and then I'd walk. So I was an hour and 15 either way.
Jesus.
This is when Dinkins was mayor too. So it was like bulletproof glass and paper hats type stuff. It wasn't a good time to be alive. And my kids are called Dyfus right now. I think my daughter just got picked up by my wife, and she got like soft-boiled eggs and toast and a pot of tea for lunch. I was a bodega guy my whole fucking life. Of course. Yeah, that's why my kung fu is so strong with New York food.
And that's why Little Tokyo would be the best for you.
Exactly. But we used to go to the Ukrainian men's club right next to Veselka, which we've been to for the pierogi, and they would know that you were underage. So what they would serve us is warm shots of garlic vodka. Ooh. So you'd have warm shots of garlic.
Wait, what does that have to do with being underage?
I don't know. Like, I think they didn't want us in there very long. So, okay, you want a little, boom. $3 or something like that. Then you go back, you chase it back with a Yoo-hoo, and then you go to biology.
Or maybe the garlic masks the vodka.
Maybe. Yeah,
like maybe the garlic is so pungent that it completely overtakes the vodka.
But you kind of remember that time in your life where it's like, give me anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, give me whatever you can.
Like Drambuie or something like that. I was just whatever was in the liquor cabinet that was like glowing the reddest, I would just drink.
I hate to go on this tangent. Do you know what a spider hunter is? Okay, so when I was growing up, Jim's Marine Inn is the first time I'd seen this. Jim's Marine on Garrettson Avenue. Old guys would sit at the bar and watch people order drinks, get like shorts of Budweiser the whole time. And the last shot in a bottle is called a spider. It's free. So if you ever order a shot in a real bar and it's the last shot, they give it to you for free because you just hit the spider.
Is it because there would be like floating arachnids in there?
I think it's just easier, right? Because it wouldn't be an exact pour or anything. And it's just, I think it's a cool thing. So you had old guys who were spider hunters, and they would watch which bottles were going. You know what I mean? They'd be like, I think we got 2 left in the creme de menthe, and then I'm in on that motherfucker. Like that type of thing. Right. So we were spider hunting, drinking garlic vodka. New York is a wonderful place. And to your point, it's so filled with all these different cultures. And this is probably the only time we could judge which one's the best. Right. Without getting into a lot of trouble.
And we kind of go under the guise of pitting these two little cultures together, and we're like, oh, we're actually solving these diplomatic issues. When we go to Little India and Little Pakistan, like we're like, hey, we're fixing this. As opposed to stoking the flames.
We're the UN, but a little bit different. So what I'm doing to our listeners, both of them, is if you have any ideas on where we should go, send them in.
Yes.
It's particularly if you do have family there and you like rely on it and all that kind of stuff. So that's where you do your shit. Because Rone and I, it'll be something that we kind of do over a bunch of weeks.
Yes. I think I was worried that there wouldn't be a lot of them, but even after the ones we mentioned, there's Little Tokyo, Little India, Little Pakistan, Little Senegal, Little Bangladesh, Little Poland, Little Brazil. Like there's more than I can count. And I think that that's great for us because this is something that we can do over a long period of time.
Right. And I said, if you need to bring other people in, do it. He's like, no, I want to do it with you, which again is an honor for me. I can't wait to do it. But if all of a sudden there is a Little Zimbabwe and Zaz in town.
I was looking for a Little Zimbabwe. I couldn't find one.
Yeah, anything like that. Like I think we do have specific people that can fill that void or be, ride shotgun with us to sort of make it a little bit more of a complete journey because I don't know Senegalese food. Right. So maybe we won't be the best judge of it.
Having a guide.
Yeah. Maybe having somebody that can bring us through on certain things. Little Italy, obviously I got covered.
Yeah. And Little Ireland.
And Little Ireland, I do have covered. There's a chance we bump into a cousin who's not here legally and we'll have some fun with it. So I think that's something that we're going to get going in a couple of weeks. We'll start it. We're in the planning phase now. Try to get like some ad dollars behind it.
Totally. I think that would be so awesome to get any type of sponsorship. We're going to do it regardless. One of the things that I was trying to figure out is exactly how to do it. And so one of the of the people I was talking to about it, because he's so culturally advanced and aware, is Donnie. And Donnie has he has a streaming backpack that I used in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. So I think if I wear the backpack, one of the things I'm concerned about is going in with 100 people to Little Haiti. And so I think that it just could be interesting. But I think as Skeleton Crew, if I wear the backpack, if I'm just live streaming, me and you do the whole thing, we live stream it all, and then we cut it down to like a video from the live stream, that could be the way. I don't know if people even give a fuck about how the sausage is made. I think they're just going to want to see us in the places. But regardless, we're going to find fun ways to do this, explore the city that we have. I'm so impressed by how interested you are in all this shit, and like how much you want to talk about it and learn about it. Really aligns with how I see the world. Yeah. And so I think that it's a perfect match and can be really fun.
Every time I have somebody on here and I ask them, one or two specific questions, and I have them think about it because they haven't thought about it in that term. Like I had asked Fights, what's one meal you wish you can get back? Whether it's something that you can, but your palate has grown so much that you just probably wouldn't enjoy it, so you just won't do it. Or if it's simply not there anymore, it was made by a dead relative, or Patty had said Wednesday's chicken nuggets on powdered mashed potatoes at school. I wish I can get it back. I'd probably hate it, but it's just such a fond memory. Yeah. Fucking Fights is like, oh, my aunt used to make like this corn chowder. He's got an aunt like Portuguese roots or something up, wherever the hell that is. And like whenever I get that kind of visceral reaction from people, guests and whatnot, I feel like I'm like making a bond with them over something that I probably love more than my family.
It's so nice. Yeah.
I'd rather spend more time in the kitchen with my wife.
And people spend so much time making these dishes for you. Like there's tens of thousands of people this second who are like trying their hardest to cook something delicious. And it would be a disservice of us not to at least see what they're talking about, at least give it a shot.
We got to go to the basement of the Ukrainian church. So there's a basement of the Ukrainian church that does, it's almost like you're stepping into a school lunchroom, and they're just popping out stuffed cabbage and stuff. Once we get the wheels going, I'll probably be a little bit more helpful on the food side, but I mean, Donnie.
Who cares? We're learning.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Like, I think I'm excited about it.
So another thing I want to ask of your viewers.
Please.
What should we start with? Which should be the first toe dips into this, and what are the perfect pairings? Like, obviously, I think it's interesting to pair countries who have some type of history or share a border or something like that, just for an interesting juxtaposition. But if people think that that's not the move, I think that this should be fan dictated in some ways, just to give the people what they want.
Otherwise, we're going to go Ireland versus Italy. We're going to go Ukraine versus fucking Russia. Yeah. We're going to go whatever we want to do.
India, Pakistan, Argentina, Brazil. Like it'll be obvious to us.
Yeah. I wonder if there's something too that we can pluck from each culture's cuisine that can be a comp. Every culture has its own dumpling. Ooh. Mandu, pierogi, wontons, Totino's pizza rolls. Like you can go down the road, right? I mean, think about it in that term, that, accents, the music that's playing in the background, our, proximity to a witch doctor, like all these things can become a rubric where we can actually
How are they folding dough? How are they folding meat into dough?
Yeah.
It's universal.
And if Little Italy fucking loses, we'll just next year make sure that we have, better gnocchis or, better tortellinis that we're dragging through honey and then rolling around in a little bit of Parmesan, which we did at Da Toscano, not together at the same time. You were at the front table. I was in the back. I didn't get to see you and your lovely wife.
That is, I think, my favorite Italian restaurant in the city.
I think they do a very good job. One of the first places, Da Toscano was one of the first places that we had went. I had taken some friends from NASCAR there, Freddie Crafty, spotter for Bubba Wallace, and his lovely wife, my lovely wife. And just by coincidence, we were in the back whooping it up. Honestly, I barely remember the night. We probably sat down at 9. Unbeknownst to me, Rone and his lovely wife have like a 9:15. They're seated at the front of the restaurant. She's pregnant with 2 kids that she's not even sure is his. So she's like, let's get the fuck out of here in an hour. We were there for 3 hours, so our paths did not cross. But Da Toscano,
it was really the next morning. I was like, what'd you do last night? He was like, I went to Da Toscano.
Yeah.
And I was like, my dad went to high school there.
All right, I'm going to let you get back to it. So RoneDotCom is the thing that Ian So Ian on the Venn diagram of you got to try this and Rone.com, Ian is the place where it intersects because he does the social for Rone, and obviously he does everything for me because otherwise it looked like this was shot on a fucking potato. So
It looks good though. He does a great job.
yeah, he does. He does a very good job. You have one more thing to answer before you go.
Okay.
How much do you respect me as a person on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's like 12, 14.
Right.
You know
So
what
I'm,
I mean?
I'm very high on the thing with you. I go to movie theaters. One day I went to a movie theater. I had like a large Coke. On my way out of the theater, I dumped out the Coke. I kind of washed out the cup. I filled it up with water and ice, put it in my car, and I went home. Finished the water. Cup stayed in my car for a couple of days because it was in the side. Otherwise, my car is pretty tight. You've been in my car. It's always relatively clean.
Yeah.
Went to a movie the following week, and I was like, holy shit, the cup's here. I put it in the hood of my hoodie, snuck it in, went right in, filled it up, back in, right? And so
Genius.
now I never not have one in my car. So I just went to go see Accountant 2 the other day, and I banged out another free Coke from AMC. Now that you know about that, do you respect me more or less? Because it's a bitch move. It's a cheap move, but you know what my lifestyle is? It's just something that I do, and it's probably the most, ghetto is probably an overused word. It's I don't know what it is, but how do you feel about that move?
I respect the
Do you
hell
respect
out of
the
it.
shit
You
out of
went
it?
from like 16, 18, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
it's really up there.
Almost
Because you're
funny.
not stealing from anybody. Like there's no human that's being hurt
Yeah.
by this, and it's fountain soda, which is like the least measurable of any of the concessions that are being sold at a movie theater.
Right.
They know how many pretzel bites they are. They know how many boxes of Junior Mints they are. They don't know like someone might have had a lot of ice. No, it's victimless.
And as soon as I get in, I go right into the men's room, pop it out of my hood, come right back out without even using the men's room, right? Obviously, it's just a ruse, right to the thing, do my own soda, and I'm right there. I think it's a victimless crime.
You're a genius, my friend.
Thank you, sir. This is Rone from RoneDotCom, which is live every Wednesday. You can catch it wherever you catch Barstool type shit, and be on the lookout when we try to figure out, I don't even know what the name is.
Little versus little. Maybe.
Little versus little. Little versus little, and we'll get on that as soon as possible. I appreciate you coming in,
You're
brother.
the man, buddy.
All right,
Thank you.
Get the fuck out of my show. All right, so that's Adam Ferrone. You know him better as Rone. We're going to be working on this project for the next couple of months, hopefully, and it's going to be absolutely groundbreaking, earth-shattering, whatever you want to call it. And I'm glad to be a part of that. Thank you so much for... thank you to KB for voting me second best blogger in the place. Thanks, McAfee, for having me on. Thanks, Ring Magazine, for hosting us. And most importantly, thank you guys for tuning in to You Gotta Try This. Please like, subscribe. I know I don't ask people to do this a lot on other projects that I'm involved with, but this is my baby. So like and subscribe, 5 stars if you can, and drop in a question and we'll try to get to it next time on You Gotta Try This.